I caught part of a video yesterday, and it was the Legal Eagle, and he was trying to articulate how a number of laws were being broken with what the Department of Government Efficiency is doing. And it was your typical talking point. Somebody's funding that from somewhere other than USAID, or there are still payments coming through because for whatever reason he's still holding water. And I would argue that no law is broken in the process of auditing. There is no body for the sole purpose of auditing until it is created. And an executive order by a president can create an auditing agency. And so then everything that is within the branch of government that president executes, presides over, is subject to that audit. And in any situation where there is a question of law, in order for that to become, say, a legal dialogue, a trial or a grand jury or something, the Department of Justice, which is within the executive branch as well, and its top leadership appointed by that president, would have to decide to go against that president. Don't give me that, oh yeah, because it's Trump, because no, look at the last 4 years and shut the fuck up. So today, the votes have gone in. The Department of Health and Human Services has a new leader, will be sworn in eventually. And the new Director of National Intelligence has been voted in, will be sworn in shortly. I just watched a Count Dankula video about Big Balls, the young engineer working for the Department of Government Efficiency. Count Dankula makes an excellent point about people complaining about the privacy concerns. Every government agency already has access to that information, and you should be more concerned about government agencies having access to it than the specific individuals that are combing through the government agencies at the moment. I have seen nothing whatsoever to suggest that any of these people need to be removed from their positions or that they need to stop doing what they're doing. Anyone who has a problem is either A, convinced by someone else that it's something that it isn't, ergo they have been lied to and believed it, ergo they have been brainwashed, or they are complicit in something that this combing through is going to uncover. And chances are you're never going to know anybody unless you already work in those upper tiers of government and media. You're not going to know anyone who is, complicit. You're going to know people who are brainwashed, but you're not going to know people who are complicit. The thing with TikTok was, under a First Amendment, let me restate that, under the auspices of the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, you can't shut down TikTok. You can dig into what's really going on there and then find out something that could be actionable, which is what they did. And you can argue it on either side and whatever. there is a notable, demonstrable difference, or at least there was. Maybe things are changing between the content that is algorithmically suggested here in America versus in other countries. And some countries, including a country that predominantly owns, the infrastructure and the business of TikTok, they show their younger generations stuff that makes them want to be involved in like STEM careers and personal accountability and responsibility. And then they show stupid challenges, commercial consumerism, and brain rot to ours. That was what they were going after, was the brain rot, to stop them from doing that to our kids. Because it is an outside influence trying to ruin future generations. Thankfully, I think they failed. Because every time somebody does shit like that, they always, and I thank God that they do this, because the time that they somehow are not doing this is when we all lose. They fail to take into account something about human nature every single time. It's the same way in all of the hypotheticals, the books, the novels, anytime anybody does a war game or a role play, there are aspects of human nature that are not taken into account for whatever reason. Maybe it's that whole cutting corners for a simulation kind of thing. It is the thing that saves us from others or from ourselves. Because honestly, all the Gen Z that I know are pretty dope. They're awesome. Despite all the goofy shit, the youngins are coming up able to work hard. They understand how to get things done. They still have their youth about them and make mistakes and learn things with time. But they are not shit, which is good. Because the generation before them kind of is. Hopefully Gen Alpha takes after Gen Z. These are people who look at the world and they're like, wait, what? That's what people like me have been after. And that rather than, fall off the cliff, to use the turn of phrase, that they go back the other direction and look up above the field a little bit and be like, okay, now I see what's coming. I don't think most of them have any kind of issue. I don't think they're even paying attention. They're not being taught civics in school. See, that's the thing. If anything, I think it might be a pipe dream to suggest closing the Department of Education and sending it purely to the states. And I'm not sure that that's a good idea, because I think that there needs to be some government level of civics needs to be taught in schools, mandate that kind of thing. That needs to be there. The federal government, I think, has a responsibility to mandate some kind of civics everywhere so that your citizens have some level of informed consent, because they have been educated on how the process works, how the government works, what your rights are. I don't know why the schools, the public schools, the government-funded schools, I don't know why they don't teach that, other than somebody somewhere at some point made it a directive not to do so that you would have generation upon generation coming up ignorant of things like how the government works, where their tax dollars go, what their vote means, what's really going on. I would think that if they're not able to close down the Department of Education and send it to the states, that they will capitulate, but then also start doing things like mandating teaching of civics if you want your federal money. You want this money to go to your school systems in your state, you better be teaching the people in your state how the government works. It's a better alternative to something like service guarantees citizenship from Starship Troopers. It's a better alternative to just teach civics. Everyone gets an education in how things work. You have some level of understanding, even if you didn't pay attention. And there are other people who can explain it to you rather than being like, man, I don't know how shit works. People get into trouble. People lose their livelihood, sometimes their lives, because they just don't understand how shit works. And then on a greater level, things are allowed to get as bad as they have gotten. And trust me, they're bad. They've been bad. Things are getting better. Stuff is getting better. The amount of fuckery behind the scenes in every operational aspect of the current world of people, the civilization, the economy, the society, the religions, all of it. It's so screwed right now. And it's just now starting to be operated on. It's not just this president, not just the cabinet. There are other people in the world that understand this too. And I believe that they will begin to step up to the task as they see it happening in America. The goal, beyond a national level, is to unfuck the world. It's not going to unfuck itself. It's up to us. So that's what I see going on right now in the government of my country on a federal level. And my state proactively has an executive order from the governor to establish the Iowa Department of Government Efficiency, the IDOGE. This could be good, this could be bad. If the government is too cut and underfunded, then it becomes an issue. But if there is wasteful spending and abuse and fraud, it needs to be uncovered. So if they can excise the bad things and not overcut the rest of it, we have a nice functional government, lean and fit. Government employees don't despise the citizens, and the citizens don't despise the government employees. Hunky-dory. And then make that federal too. Eventually, a point where the federal government is not invasive in your life, where you are able to simply live how you live, where you live, how it is that they do it there. And if you don't like it, you have the freedom to go somewhere else. So pay no attention to the bluster, bad faith, disingenuous nonsense and all of that. I'm not going to name names or talk specifics and, well, I can refute the book. No, man. If they're arguing against a good thing, they're automatically wrong there. Everybody have a good Thursday.